Asia, good evening America. You're watching World DNA with me, Raisha Saigal.
And my name is Hemkor Surya, and on the show today, another assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump at his golf club in Florida. The incident takes place 2 months after another attempt on his life at a rally in Pennsylvania. The FBI is probing the incident right now. The suspect is in custody. What does this incident mean for the Trump camp as it comes just few weeks ahead of the US presidential elections? We'll explore that on the show today.
From US, shifting our focus to West Asia. The Israeli army has targeted southern Lebanon with heavy airstrikes. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the Houthis will pay a heavy price for the attack that hit central Israel on Sunday. All that and a lot more lined up on World DNA. But first, a quick check on the headlines.
Another assassination attempt on Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. U.S. Secret Service agents opened fire at a gunman near a golf course in Florida. The suspect arrested.
Donald Trump says he is safe and well after assassination attempt. Democratic presidential contestant Kamala Harris condemns political violence in the U.S.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns Houthi rebels will pay a heavy price after the group claims its first ballistic missile strike on Israel.
Ukraine claims several civilians, including 3 children, injured after Russian-guided bomb hit a residential building in Kharkiv.
Eight migrants killed after their overcrowded vessel capsizes while trying to cross the channel from France to England, less than 2 weeks after the deadliest such disaster this year.
Strong wind and rain lash Shanghai as Typhoon Bebenka makes landfall, the most powerful tropical cyclone to hit the Chinese financial hub in over 7 decades.
USA end their 7-year drought in the Solheim Cup. They beat Team Europe by 3 points in a thrilling finale. This is the biggest margin of victory since 2017. Now, 2 months after an assassination attempt at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump was on target of another apparent assassination attempt on Sunday at his golf course in Florida.
The Republican presidential candidate's campaign and law enforcement officials said that he is safe and unharmed.
Now, a potential suspect is in custody, but the FBI has declined to comment on his identity. However, citing unnamed law enforcement officials, the New York Times and Fox News report that the suspect has been identified as 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Ruth of Hawaii.
Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed. following a protected incident shortly before 2 p.m. on Sunday at Trump International Golf Club at West Palm Beach. The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line, and this matters under investigation.
Trump was golfing at his course in Florida's West Palm Beach when Secret Service agents spotted a rifle barrel in the bushes while clearing holes ahead of the former president.
The gunman was spotted about 365 to 457 meters from where Trump was playing. Agents engaged the gunman and fired at least 4 rounds of ammunition. Then the gunman dropped his rifle, 2 backpacks and other items and fled in a black Nissan car. As per officials, a witness saw the gunman and managed to take photos of his car and the license plate. Authorities then sent out an alert to statewide agencies with the information on the vehicle and tracked it down, apprehending the suspect.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great. So we had that information. Our real-time crime center put it out to the license plate readers. And we were able to get a hit on that vehicle on I-95 as it was headed into Martin County. We got a hold of Martin County Sheriff's Office, alerted them, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over and detained the guy.
Law enforcement showed pictures of an AK-47 rifle, 2 backpacks and a GoPro camera recovered from where the gunman was pointing the rifle at the former U.S. president.
Trump was safely escorted from the coast to his nearby Mar-a-Lago residence. And Trump said in a website fundraising message, I'm quoting here, "Fear not, I'm safe and well, and no one was hurt, thank God." Trump campaign credited the Secret Service with keeping the former president safe.
The White House said that the U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are relieved to know that Trump is safe currently.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris said that violence has no place in America.
And well, for more on this, we're now being joined live by Johanna LeBlanc from Washington, D.C. She has served as a legislative director for the United States Congress and also a liaison to the White House, the Department of State. Welcome to World DNA, Johanna. I want to first start by asking that how do you assess the second assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump, which comes just weeks ahead of the U.S. presidential polls? Trump, just a short while ago, on his fundraising website, said that he will not surrender. How do you assess this impacting his campaign moving forward?
First, I think that America's democracy is being tested right now. It's being tested in a way that it has never been tested before. We are indeed living in unprecedented times right now. But what I think the second attempted assassination exposed are a number of things. One, it exposes that both candidates need heightened security. So it's quite obvious that from the last attempted assassination that greater measures have not been in place. So not only does Mr. Trump need heightened security, but also Vice President Harris, who's running for the presidency as well. She too needs more security because she has also received a number of death threats throughout this campaign. Another thing that this scenario exposes is the gun violence here in this country. Far too many Americans have died because of folks having access to guns, just anybody, without proper vetting, right? And it also exposes a mental health crisis, right? So we need to ensure that we have proper resources, enough money allocated for folks to have access to mental health services. And another thing it exposes is the reality is that there is a real issue around domestic terrorism in this country. In 2021, the Department of Justice rolled out a national plan to combat domestic terrorism. The acts that's been committed against Mr. Trump have been committed by, so far as we know, have been committed by two Americans, two white men, two nationals, right? It wasn't two foreigners. It was not two migrants who came across the border illegally, right? It's American in this country who committed this crime. So the issue of domestic terrorism is an issue that must be addressed.
Right. Now, Johanna, just to expand on that, the suspect was about 300 to 500 yards away from Trump when he was nabbed. While on the one hand, the assassination attempt, as you mentioned as well, this highlights and it exposes that it's dangerous times in the United States. On the other hand, Secret Services being lauded for their prompt action. If you can perhaps draw a comparison between their prompt action taken by the law enforcement in this case as opposed to what happened in the Butler assassination attempt on former U.S. President Trump.
I think that it's great that they took prompt actions, but the reality is that America is a first world country, one. And secondly, America is a superpower, a nation that every other country around the world is looking to when it comes to issues around elections, when it comes to security matters. But yet we've had two failures on our own soil, right? And those were, close calls. So I think that the United States Secret Service and all of the agencies that are responsible for providing Mr. Trump with security, there needs to be a serious conversation, and perhaps there needs to be additional funding to ensure that this does not happen. Because from an international perspective, this does not look good for the American brand. Because the rest of the world is asking, what is happening? It creates a level of political instability that I don't think the United States government wants that to be the image around the world.
Right, Johanna, while the U.S. is in dangerous times currently, that's also what the Secret Service chief said during that briefing. Let's shift our focus to the suspect who is in custody. He has not made any statement yet, but the officials nabbed him with 2 backpacks of ceramic plates and a GoPro camera. How do you see these elements? Do you think that it signals an elevated level of sophistication by the shooter?
It doesn't sound like there was a level of sophistication, and obviously, we're still getting information, right? We don't have all of the facts yet. This is relatively new, but I think as we learn more and more, we will be able to make a better determination if this man was indeed a very sophisticated shooter, or if he was just some random guy with a passion or mental health crisis who committed this act. But another thing that I think is important to note here is that I am a big advocate for gun control, right? Because I do believe that everyone having access to guns is not going to make our country safer. Too many people have died in this country because of gun violence. But another thing I think that's important to talk about is that laws enough are not sufficient to change the gun violence issues that we have in this country. What we also must do is Americans all across America and people all across the world should do this exercise. We must sit in our dinner, while we're having dinner with our families, and ask ourselves why do we hold hatred certain other groups? Why do we view people the way that we view them, right? Because laws are great because it's a piece of tool that you can take in front of a body of a judge and get redress after you have been harmed. But at the end of the day, we cannot legislate the hearts of men. So everybody needs to look at their hearts and ask ourselves, why do we view certain groups of people the way that we do?
All right. Well, Johanna, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA with your insights on this. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
All right. Israeli warplanes have carried out an aerial assault in southern Lebanon, launching a series of airstrikes.
The Israeli jets fired several air-to-ground missiles at the Mohammedia targeted area. The attacks are a part of near daily crossfire between Israeli forces and the militant group Hezbollah.
Israel also dropped leaflets over a Lebanon border village on Sunday, urging residents to leave.
It was the first time Israelis had told residents of South Lebanon to evacuate in 11 months of cross-border fire. But according to Israel's military, a brigade had taken the initiative without any kind of approval and an investigation has been opened. Syrian refugee families had to evacuate their makeshift tents in the village as a result of the warning.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah has said that its fighters carried out 10 attacks targeting Israeli posts along the Lebanese-Israeli border in Galilee and Golan Heights. Israel's military said about 40 projectiles were fired from Lebanon towards Israel's upper region and the Golan Heights. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said during a cabinet meeting that he will do everything necessary for the return of residents to their homes in northern Israel.
The status quo will not change. This requires a change in the balance of power on our northern border. We will do everything necessary to return our residents safely to their homes. I am committed to it. The government is committed to it, and we will not settle for less than that.
Now, this comes after Hezbollah's second-in-command, Naim Qasim, issued a warning that an all-out war would displace many more people, reminding that there will be larger losses on both sides. Tens of thousands of people living in the border area of both countries have been displaced in this conflict. Qasim said that if Israel thinks a war would allow the 100,000 displaced people to return home, it should be prepared to deal with hundreds of thousands more displaced.
In Jerusalem, an Israeli border police officer was stabbed near Damascus Gate. Israeli police shot dead the attacker as he tried to escape. The officer was injured and was taken for treatment. Police have secured the area and begun an investigation. Tensions are frequent in the old city and have only heightened since the start of the Gaza war. Jerusalem, and in particular the old city, is a holy city for the three Abrahamic religions. It remains a key issue at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Moving on, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has once again urged allies to accept the country's demand to use long-range missiles to strike air bases deep within Russia.
Now, this is one person was killed, 42 others injured in a fire triggered by Russian-guided aerial bomb that struck a multi-story building in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city.
Sumy and Donetsk region were also hit. Zelensky informed, adding that in the last 24 hours, over 128 aerial bombs were used by the enemy.
The only way to counter this terror is with a systemic solution. This solution is long-range capabilities, which will enable us to destroy Russian military aircraft at their bases. This is an obvious, logical decision.
Now, analysts warn that Putin's option to retaliate if the West lets Ukraine use its missiles to strike Russia could include conducting a nuclear test to show intent. Ukraine has the legal right to strike targets in Russia, as per the chair of the NATO Military Committee, Admiral Rob Bauer.
As he, along with the chief of the General Staff of the Czech Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Karel Reka, addressed a press briefing while they were answering a question on consensus among military chiefs on this issue. The matter is to come up in the United Nations General Assembly later.
If nations give weapon systems to Ukraine, it is their right as well to have certain limitations in the use of those weapons, because they feel responsible for those weapons. And that is a political discussion, and that is what happens, and where some nations have a different opinion. But if you ask me as a military man. Is it possible? The answer is yes.
Meanwhile, as Russian troops steadily advance to eastern Ukraine, Poland's foreign minister suggested a measure that would help the country increase its soldiers on the line of defense, rotate out exhausted troops and make up for losses. He urged European government to halt welfare benefits to Ukrainian men living in their countries who are eligible to join the military.
Russian aerospace forces claim they have downed 2 Ukrainian Su-27 fighter jets in the last 24 hours.
Now, the Russian airspace forces downed 2 Su-27 fighter jets of Ukraine's air forces. This was what the report said. The report, however, did not say where these strikes took place.
In a similar claim in July, Russia said it had destroyed 5 Ukrainian Su-27 fighter jets with Iskander-M missiles and damaged 2 more at the Mirhord airfield in Ukraine's central Poltava region. However, Ukraine denied the report, saying that Russia is exaggerating its claims.
The loss of Su-27 fighter jets marks a serious blow to Ukrainian air power since the start of the war. Ukrainian pilots who've flown Su-27s and the incoming US-built F-16s have reported that the Su-27, it remains an overall more capable aircraft.
The Su-27 is designed to be capable of outperforming the F-16's heavier counterpart. The F-15 in air-to-air combat among its advantages over the F-16. The Su-27s have a much longer range, far larger radar, higher weapons carrying capacity and high maneuvering at all speeds.
Now, the Su-27's large size, it contributes to significant fuel capacity and extended range along with a maximum takeoff weight of around 33,000 kilograms. It has exceptional maneuverability due to thrust vectoring capabilities.
Its systems include a N001 mic radar for long-range detection and tracking aerial targets, infrared search and track system for passive target acquisition, and also advanced electronic warfare for self-protection, and a fly-by-wire system which reduces the pilot's workload during complex maneuvers.
The Su-27 carries a 30 mmg SH-31 cannon with a phenomenal 150 rounds, multiple hardpoints for air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles as well. Now, is Russia sharing nuclear secrets with Iran in exchange for its missiles?
Well, both the US and the UK say that they have reason to believe that this is true.
Now, at their Friday summit in Washington, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and US President Joe Biden are understood to have discussed this aspect, along with strengthening military cooperation between 2 of the West's biggest adversaries.
Earlier reports have revealed that Iran has accumulated 4 significant quantities of enriched uranium that could be used to make a nuclear bomb. While UK, France and Germany have warned Tehran has built up its supply of uranium, it is not clear whether it has the capabilities to build a nuclear weapon. What is, however, clear is that Iran has become a key enabler of Russia's air and ground campaign in Ukraine.
The United States says dozens of Russian military personnel have trained in Iran using the Fatah 360 missile, which has a range of 120 kilometers. Just last week, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned on his trip to London that the 2 countries were creating even greater insecurity across the world through their activities.
Dozens of Russian military personnel have been trained in Iran to use the Fatah 360 close-range ballistic missile system, which has a maximum range of 75 miles. Russia has now received shipments of these ballistic missiles and will likely use them within weeks in Ukraine against Ukrainians. Russia has an array of its own ballistic missiles, but the supply of Iranian missiles enables Russia to use more of its arsenal for targets that are further from the front line while dedicating the new missiles it's receiving from Iran for closer range targets.
Now, Tehran has denied the allegations of supplying missiles to Russia.
We strongly reject the claims of Iran's role in exporting arms to one side of the war.
The alliance between Iran and Russia is evidence of a broader strategic partnership. This growing cooperation between Moscow and Tehran is forcing the West to recalibrate its response in the light of the now emerging nuclear threat.
All right, time now for a short break.
But don't go anywhere. The other side of World DNA, we'll get your story from India, where India's CBI has claimed that there could be a bigger conspiracy in the Kolkata rape and murder case. CBI made the claim while seeking custody of ex-principal of RJKar Hospital and the station house officer who initially probed the case.
Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's woes far from over. A case has been filed against her in Chattogram. We'll get you all the details on this on the other side. Stay tuned.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation. Welcome back to World DNA. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on this side of the show. Let's start by looking at the headlines first.
U.S. law enforcement agencies are probing another assassination attempt on Donald Trump after Secret Service agents opened fire at a gunman near a golf course in Florida. Suspect arrested.
Donald Trump says he is safe and well after apparent assassination attempt. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris condemns political violence.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns Houthis that they will pay a heavy price after the group claims its first ballistic missile strike on Israel.
Eight migrants killed after their overcrowded vessel capsizes while trying to cross the channel from France to England less than 2 weeks after the deadliest such disaster this year.
Strong wind and rain lash Shanghai as Typhoon Bebenka makes landfall, the most powerful tropical cyclone to hit the Chinese financial hub in over 7 decades.
USA end their 7-year drought in Solheim Cup. They beat Team Europe by 3 points in a thrilling finale. This is the biggest margin of victory since 2017.
India's Central Bureau of Investigation has claimed that there could be a bigger conspiracy in the Kolkata rape and murder case.
Now, CBI made the claim while seeking custody of ex-principal of Arjikar Hospital and the station house officer who initially probed the case.
The Central Probe Agency has slapped fresh charges against Sandeep Ghosh, the former principal of Arjikar Medical College and Hospital, naming him as a key conspirator in the rape and murder case. The body of the trainee doctor was found in a seminar hall of the hospital on August 9th.
The CBI alleged that Ghosh and local police station in charge Abhijit Mondal were involved in disturbing the crime scene, tampering with evidence, violating official rules, criminal conspiracy and misleading investigators.
Now, both Ghosh and Mondal were remanded in CBI custody until September 17th. 3 persons have been arrested in connection with the rape and murder case. Sunjoy Roy, a civic volunteer attached with the Kolkata police, is the main accused in the case.
Meanwhile, the protesting doctors have said that they will continue their demonstrations. On Saturday, doctors returned from Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's residence without meeting her. The Chief Minister has denied their request to live stream the meeting.
I request you all to please come and talk. Why are you disrespecting me? I am waiting, but it seems you don't want to meet. I assure you that I will sign the minutes of the meeting, but I can't promise about the live streaming. The case is in Supreme Court. The matter is sub judice. Live streaming can only be done after Supreme Court's permission.
But the agitating doctors have a different story to tell. Well, they allege that they were asked to leave Mamata's residence even after they agreed to attend the meeting without live streaming or video recording as requested by the Chief Minister.
When we came here, we had demanded video recording or live streaming of the talks. We were not allowed. Then the Chief Minister came out and promised that we would receive the minutes of the meeting. We discussed among ourselves and agreed to join the meeting without live streaming or video recording.
Now, doctors continued protests for the 5th night in a row in the impasse as the impasse continues between the Mamata Banerjee government and doctors demanding justice for the rape and murder of their colleague on the 5th of August.
Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's woes are far from over.
A case has been filed against her in Chattogram for allegedly issuing death threats to the head of the interim government, Professor Mohammad Yunus, as well as Bangladesh National Party's chairperson, Khaleda Zia.
According to the case statement, during a press conference in 2022, Hasina said that Zia should be thrown off the Padma Bridge. As for Yunus, she said he should be dunked in the river. The case statement further said that through her comments, Hasina expressed her secret desire to kill Khaleda and Yunus and also incited workers of the Awami League and its affiliated organizations to carry out these acts.
Now, taking cognizance of the case, the court has directed the Police Bureau of Investigation to conduct an inquiry and submit its findings within 30 days.
Another case was filed a day ago, that is on Saturday, against Hasina and 58 others on charges of attempting to murder a student during an anti-government demonstration in Dinjapur. According to the case statement, Fahim Faisal, who participated in the demonstrations, was assaulted with firearms and local weapons, resulting in multiple injuries to his face, chest, arms and other parts of the body. More than 1 month since this incident occurred, and he has been recovering currently.
Now, with this, Hasina is now facing more than 155 cases, including 136 for murder, 8 for attempted murder. She is presently in exile. Hasina is not the only one facing the heat. Former Minister for Cultural Affairs Asazuddin Noor and former State Minister for Civil Aviation and Tourism were arrested by the Bangladesh Detective Branch yesterday. They've also said that they will be produced before a court in Dhaka today.
Moving on, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has signalled that he is keen in Italy's migration deal with Albania as a way of tackling the small boats crisis.
Now, this comes ahead of Starmer's meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Starmer said it was too early for the implementation of the policy, but did not rule out considering a similar agreement for Britain. Speaking with the media, Starmer said that the illegal migrants issue will be one of the major highlights of this meeting.
Well, the deal foresees disembarking 36,000 migrants per year at the port of Schengen. The cases of migrants will be processed at a centre in Gidar, which can hold over 3,000 people.
Now, this comes after Starmer axed the previous Tory government's plan to send some migrants to Rwanda. He declared the Sunak government's move as dead and buried.
UK faces a serious threat of migrants, with over 22,000 people crossing the English Channel as of September 2024. Well, most of these immigrants come from countries like Afghanistan, followed by Iran, Vietnam and Turkey.
I ran the Crown Prosecution Service for 5 years.
Now, inhabitants of the French beach town have been left shocked by an ill-fated attempt to cross the English Channel that turned deadly.
8 migrants from Eritrea, Sudan, Syria, Egypt, Iran and Afghanistan, they drowned on Sunday, just weeks after 12 others died attempting the same earlier this month. Our next report telling you more.
Police were seen patrolling the French coast on Sunday after authorities said several migrants died overnight in an attempt to cross the Channel to England. Jacques Bellon, prefect of the Pas-de-Calais region, said, quote, "A new tragedy took place around 1 o'clock this morning." He said rescue crews were alerted that a boat with 59 people on board was in difficulty in waters off the coast. 51 people who were rescued were now in the care of emergency crews, he said. Bellon added that the deceased were men from Eritrea, Sudan, Syria, Egypt, Iran and Afghanistan. The tragedy follows the deaths of 12 people earlier this month when their boat capsized in the Channel on its way to Britain. It also highlights the pressure on the British and French governments to find ways to tackle the boat crossings.
In the end, we have to smash the gangs.
British Foreign Secretary David Lammy said on Sunday the government was working with its European neighbours as well as domestic agencies to stop the human trafficking.
Met with the Home Secretary, the Prime Minister. We had a deep dive at the National Crime Agency because we are determined to deal with those supply routes that bring people illegally across the Channel.
The Channel is one of the world's busiest shipping lanes and currents are strong, which makes crossing on small boats dangerous. According to Boulogne, 46 people have died trying to cross the Channel from France since the start of the year.
Now, are you planning to move your savings in a bank account out of the UK? You might want to think again.
And that's because the UK's Labour government may be mulling to impose an exit tax on wealthy investors who decide to move their funds out of the country.
A left-leaning think tank, Resolution Foundation, is pushing the UK Chancellor of Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, to hit those relocating overseas with a capital gains tax charge. Under Britain's current laws, investors do not pay any capital gains tax on UK shares should they decide to leave the country for more than 5 years.
But the financial advisors in Britain are reporting an uptick in the relocation of the wealthier population since Labour came to power in the last elections which took place in the country.
The exodus of rich individuals comes ahead of the budget next month. Speculations grow that Labour is planning to introduce a hike in capital gains tax or CGT rates on conventional assets by aligning it more closely to the income tax rates that are significantly higher. The Labour ministers have discussed the policy change for years and argue that the exit tax will fix the black hole in public finances. Many countries such as Australia, Canada and the United States already charge the exit tax on the wealthy investors when they take fiscal residences elsewhere.
A private wealth migration report 2024 predicts that the introduction of CGT by the Labour could witness a net loss of approximately 9,500 millionaires in the UK by the end of this year, who hold sizable liquid investable assets. This figure is more than double the number that left UK in 2023. An estimated 16,500 millionaires left the country between 2017 and 2023. Most countries impose the exit tax in a bid to deter the wealthy citizens from renouncing their citizenship when they relocate overseas. Well, the US Federal Reserve is widely expected to cut rates by 0.25% in its upcoming meetings on September 17th and 18th.
Now, this potential rate cut could mark the start of the fourth major rate cutting cycle in 25 years. Historically, when the Fed lowers rates, it has generally been good news for stocks.
Well, the Fed's last three rate cutting cycles happened in 2001, 2007 to 2008 and 2019 to 2020. Each of these times, the cuts aimed to counteract economic troubles, whether it was the dot-com bubble burst, the 2008 financial crisis or the pre-COVID-19 slowdown.
In the last cycle, both the United States and Indian stock markets saw gains. For example, the S&P 500 rose by 15%, Nifty by 10% during the rate cuts. This time, experts believe the current situation is similar to the pre-COVID phase of 2019 to 2020. They predict that if the Fed rate cuts, stocks might rise again. The Indian stock market in particular could benefit from lower commodity prices and declining bond yields. With crude oil prices trading around $70 a barrel, Indian companies might gain.
However, there are mixed feelings. While lower rates can stimulate the economy, some experts worry that this time might not see the same results as before. Investors should stay informed and be cautious about how these changes could affect their portfolios.
And as governments push back bans on combustion vehicles and extend hybrid sales, the debate over sustainability, it's heating up.
Right, Tim. Critics argue that electric vehicles are not as green as they seem, with concerns about battery waste and also the environmental impact. These policy shifts raise the questions: are hybrids and EVs truly the best path to a cleaner future, or are they overlooked alternatives? Our next report telling you more.
The recent decision to extend the sale of hybrid cars until 2035 has sparked considerable debate in the UK. Initially, the plan was to phase out hybrids by 2030 in favour of fully electric vehicles. This change in policy aims to balance consumer concerns and environmental goals, but it raises questions about the broader impact on sustainability. Electric vehicles have been heralded as the key to a cleaner future. However, the green credentials of EVs are not as spotless as they might appear. Manufacturing EVs involves substantial resource extraction and energy consumption. Plus, the process of recycling EV batteries poses its own set of environmental challenges. Harmful materials in batteries and inefficient recycling methods can lead to significant pollution that could overshadow the supposed benefits. On the other hand, internal combustion vehicles are often dismissed as environmentally unfriendly. Yet, with advancements in technology, gas-powered cars can be made more sustainable. Modern combustion vehicles are increasingly efficient, producing a fraction of the emissions per mile than their older counterparts. Innovations like cleaner fuels, improved engine technology, and better fuel efficiency have made it possible to reduce the environmental impact of traditional cars significantly. Experts suggest government policies should not only focus on the rapid adoption of EVs, but also recognize the potential of enhancing the sustainability of existing vehicles. A balanced approach that includes supporting cleaner ICE technologies alongside EVs could lead to more effective environmental progress. Consumers and the auto sector are lobbying for a more comprehensive global strategy that acknowledges the benefits of all technologies, focusing on real-world sustainability rather than the latest trend. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's now take a look at developments from the world of technology. Researchers have identified a security flaw dubbed gaze ploy in Apple's Vision Pro headset, adding that security flaw could easily allow hackers to decipher what people entered on the device's virtual keyboard. Understanding when using the Apple Vision Pro headset, the user's avatar is visible to others. This loophole allowed the other person to study the eye movements of the avatar, helping them easily guess which key the victim is typing. As per reports, the vulnerability was first discovered in April. Since then, Apple has issued a security patch to fix this issue.
Well, if you come across a social media post showing a famous doctor promoting a cure for a serious health problem, chances are that the video might be a deep fake. AI experts have put out a warning against AI-generated deep fake videos of famous TV doctors on social media, adding that these fake videos show TV doctors promoting dangerous and unverified health remedies. Experts say these fake videos typically target older audiences by faking the identity of the doctors who appear regularly on daytime television. These scams not only mislead the innocent, but they could also put people's lives at risk. Meanwhile, experts are skeptical about the effectiveness of AI detection tools, suggesting the urgent need for a technology that can verify the authenticity of content rather than trying to identify every fake video online.
Coral reefs are crucial to marine ecosystems. They help maintain ecological balance. However, they continue to face numerous threats. Moreover, traditional methods of observation can sometimes damage these delicate environments. This is where robots come into the picture. Chinese scientists are developing a robot to monitor and protect coral reefs. Interestingly, the Chinese robot mimics and looks like a manta ray fish. Scientists chose to model the bionic fish robot after a manta ray due to its super maneuverability in water. In other words, just like the manta ray, the robot fish can also swim forward and backwards, execute tight turns, dive, and even perform backflips.
Well, a landmark journey in private space exploration comes to an end with the early splashdown of Polaris Dragon off the coast of Florida.
Now, this mission marks several historic milestones, including the highest altitude ever reached by a crewed spacecraft since 1972 and the first commercial spacewalk. Take a look.